Susan never missed an opportunity to remind me I wasn't fitting in. "You should move closer to the lake," she'd chirp every time I saw her. "Your cabin is too far out. You're not part of the real community." I'd just nod and go about my business. My cabin was on the ridge, private, quiet, and outside her Oakmont's jurisdiction. But Susan couldn't stand the idea of someone living nearby who wasn't under her thumb. One Saturday, she escalated. I came back from town to see two sheriff's cruisers parked at the end of my driveway. Susan was there, waving her arms dramatically as she pointed toward my cabin. "That's him," she cried as I pulled up. "He's squatting on restricted land. He refuses to move to the Oakmont-approved area by the lake. Arrest him immediately." The deputies looked uncomfortable, but one stepped toward me. "Sir, the Oakmont president here says you're occupying land without authorization. Can we see some proof of ownership?" Susan folded her arms, smug as ever. "He can't. He's been freeloading. The rules say all residents must live in designated lake parcels. He's violating community standards." I got out of my truck calmly, reached into the glove box, and pulled out a leather case. Snapping it open, I handed the deputy a laminated pass. He read it carefully, eyebrows rising. Then he turned it around so Susan could see U.S. Department of the Interior Lake and Land Access Permit. "Issued to my name. Authorized for full residence and oversight in designated areas." Susan's mouth fell open. The deputy cleared his throat. "Ma'am, this gentleman isn't squatting. He's a federally authorized landholder. This pass means he has broader rights than your Oakmont bylaws. His cabin is on private land under federal recognition." Susan sputtered, binder trembling in her hands. That can't be true. "Nobody outranks the Oakmont." The deputy chuckled. "Ma'am, the federal government does, and this pass overrides anything in your binder." Neighbors had begun to gather, drawn by the flashing lights. They stared as the deputy handed my pass back with a nod of respect. "Looks like you're well within your rights, sir. Sorry for the inconvenience." Susan's face turned scarlet. "This isn't fair. He doesn't follow our rules." "And now you're saying P doesn't have to." "That's exactly what I'm saying," the deputy replied. "And if you keep filing false reports, you could be facing charges yourself." The crowd started whispering. One neighbor muttered, "So, all this time he was official." Another added, "And Susan's been harassing him for nothing." I smiled politely at the deputies. "Appreciate your time, officers. Sorry you had to drive out here for nothing." Susan, on the other hand, had no exit strategy. She stammered something about appeals and special meetings, then bolted back toward her car. Binder clutched to her chest. Up. The deputies drove off, shaking their heads. The neighbors drifted away, shooting Susan looks that told me her credibility had just taken a beating. That night, as I sat on my porch overlooking the ridge, I set the pass down on the table. Susan thought her Oakmont could force me into line, but the truth was simple. Her lake might have bylaws. My cabin had a federal seal, and no binder in the world outranks that. Subscribe to HOA Conflict Story for more.